my God. Just howling at me.
Oh. I'm Natalie, and I'm a werewolf.
I'm Cory, and I'm a full wolf that desperately wants to be a human. And just howls out at the moon, hoping one day the moon will grant me the legs and arms and hairless body I've always desired and dreamed for. And this is pathetic.
And poetic.
And that was our pathetic side.
As you can probably tell. Listen, we're just getting back in the swing of it because you didn't notice a gap.
You didn't.
Not at all.
Because we are consummate professionals.
Correct. But what happened is one of us yeeted themselves right out of the country. And was it me? Or was it Cory? What do you think?
'Twas I who left the country. I went to Panama for 8 days. It was my friend's birthday, and his parents they've retired to the country. And so we stayed in this lovely beach house. And it was truly an intercontinental trip because we traveled from ocean to ocean in Panama. Wow. Yeah. Yes. So
that's amazing.
It was really fantastic. I went, I was going to say skydiving. Not what I did. I went ziplining. Which was almost just as nerve-wracking for somebody who has a fear of heights, but I really took my mind out of it, and I ziplined over 4 kilometers. It was like 6 miles of zipline.
Wow.
Yeah, it was wild. It was really cool.
And look at you, you're talking in kilometers now.
I know. Well, because that's
all of our European friends are going to be like,
they're like, I know what that is.
He's so,
I know exactly what 4 kilometers is. I don't know what these miles are.
I went ziplining once.
Did you?
I did. This is part of a longer story, so I'm gonna let you continue talking about Panama, and then I will tell you the saga of me going to Costa Rica. Rica. Just said it weird.
What was your first pronunciation?
I think I said Costa Rica with a G.
I went to Costa Rica on spring break.
Costa Rica.
And we all ziplined. It was like super cool. We were like in the jungle with the trees.
We were. There were monkeys everywhere.
Loved Costa Rica.
Wait, but tell me more about Panama.
Let's see. Yeah, we did a lot of beach stuff. It was really cool. We went to this little mountain town. We went ziplining. We went to this like flower festival that happens once every year that people all across Central America come to.
Wow.
It was like a community Lollapalooza. Like it was so cool. We ate meat on a stick. I saw a really colorful bird, which apparently is like seeing the bald eagle in the wild, but it's like their national bird. Yeah. So it was really cool. It was very colorful. But I saw it for like a fraction of a second. We went ziplining, we went snorkeling, which apparently doesn't work with somebody who has a mustache or a beard or any type of facial hair because you can't form a tight seal on your skin with the mask if you have the hairs. So I was just willingly drowning for like a half an hour.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I'm gonna reveal myself a bit here. Mm-hmm. I in no way understand how snorkeling works.
Really?
I don't get it at all. It makes no sense to me.
Should I explain it as an expert now?
I just haven't said anything to anyone. I'm just like...
Do you want me to explain it now that I'm like a deep sea expert?
I feel so dumb that I haven't like just looked it up, but I'm like, how does it with the...
Okay. So here's how it works. So... You put a life jacket. I was like flailing my arms in the air. I was like,
you got
let me tell you how it works. Because also, I kind of didn't understand how it works either. Because my thing was like, well, how does the water not get in your tube?
Right.
The thing is, it does.
Okay.
Yeah. So what we did was we had our life vests from the boat and we put them around our waist instead of around our neck. So it sort of like holds up your midsection. And then you have your goggles that like, form a tight seal or whatever around your face, around your eyes and your nose. And then you only breathe through your mouth and you have the tube that you sort of bite in. So it's set up in such a way that like if you're leaning straight down, the tube is sticking straight up. So
Right.
then the tube will be giving you all of your water, and then you're floating on the surface of the water, and you're usually in some type of like shallows that you can't stand in, but they're probably like 2 or 3 human beings deep. So then like all the sea life is like right there.
But I feel like, have I not seen people like going under the surface wearing snorkels?
That's scuba diving.
No. I know what scuba diving is, and you have a tank with
Yes.
oxygen.
Uh-huh.
I have seen people snorkeling, but going under the surface, and that's where I was like, I don't understand.
Wouldn't you have been scuba diving in order to see that?
Movies, to be clear.
Movies.
I was not also below the
Right.
surface of the water.
Right. I suppose you
so
could
maybe
just
this is just a dramaturg who like
Maybe.
didn't do their job.
Or I guess you could just hold your breath. Like if you just didn't
Yeah.
breathe through the thing and you're
So
just like
if
took
you-
a deep breath.
Had a snorkel full of air
Yeah.
and then go under the water.
Uh-huh.
Would the snorkel immediately fill with air, or is it one of those weird vacuum things where you'd have a small store of air in the snorkel?
No, all the salt water would immediately go in your snorkel.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Unless you like capped it somehow, like if you plugged it with your thumb or something.
Seems like a lot of effort.
Yeah, it was.
Like not how
It
you're
was.
supposed to. Okay.
It
I
totally
have no
was.
more questions about snorkeling.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of murky, and I really didn't see a ton. I sort of saw some fish, but I was mostly drowning. And I saw that one sort of coral sea anemone, this sort of like floopy, and then when you go near it, it goes shoop, and it's like all sucks inside. It was like something out of Avatar. It was really cool.
That's amazing.
No, but all in all, it was a fantastic trip. I tried not to plan anything before going there. Like I let the other 3 people kind of do the main planning. Like the one guy, obviously his parents live there, and so he's been around before,
I feel
so
like
he knew what to
that's
plan.
the ideal. That you go kind of like open to whatever is going to happen, but you have someone who knows like where to take you.
Like I didn't want to get let down. I feel like that always happens for me, that I usually have one thing that I want to do, or if I do get in the planning, I want it to be very, very strict, and I figure out all the everything to the minute. And then when something doesn't happen, then I get like very distraught and distressed. And so I was glad to have somebody else deal with it. And I would just wake up in the morning. I'd be like, hey, where are we going today? And they're like, all right, we're going to get a boat at this time. We're going to go to there. And I was like, sounds great. I was like, I'll be late either way, but just so you know, just so I know what time it is. But yeah, it was really fantastic. And now I'm kind of in that like post-vacation depression where, and I went from humid 90 degrees to full flurries at 27 degrees. Like I went to go get groceries and I was like, oh, hey, Google, like, what's the temperature today? And they're like, there's a wind chill of 5 degrees. And I was like,
Yeah. My job currently is just standing out in the cold for hours, and it is not it, man.
Yeah, I might move. I might just move. Maybe I'll move.
Really?
I don't know. I could just
like zoot right out of there.
Just zibbity zabbity, hibbity
Zippity
hobbity.
zappity right over to New York.
That would be almost worse.
How would that be worse? No
It
lake effect
it
snow.
feels worse.
No wind off the
You guys
lake.
get hurricanes.
Sometimes.
Yeah, you guys probably get hurricanes as much as we get like winter
False.
tragedies.
Oh my God, no. I moved to Chicago and it started snowing immediately, and I didn't
We get,
see
like, a
sidewalk
meteorologist.
until April.
Or somebody who like reads almanacs a lot to confirm or deny this.
No.
Because I feel like all the time when they show like cataclysmic, like snowy weather, it's always in New York.
In like Buffalo. That's upstate. That's not here. It's not in a city.
I don't know. Either way,
I do.
I mean, if I'm working remotely, why would I not be working from somewhere where it's warm? And the only reason that I did move here was because I have a lot of friends in the city, and I really want to keep that. So I'm like in some weird mental in between of like, would it be worth moving somewhere south? But then you'd be moving alone, because I've done that. Like I've done that before. When I lived in Texas, when I lived in San Francisco, when I lived in DC, like I really didn't have much of anybody. Like, I had one friend when I moved in San Francisco, but we were both, like, college kids and kind of doing our own thing. We lived on opposite sides of town, so we saw each other a bunch, but, like, it's so hard to make new friends when you don't have a friends. Like, no one wants to dance to the person who shows up at the club alone.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I do. Because that was Chicago for me. Was like, and friends are hard won in big cities.
Yes.
That's fair. And especially working from home, because I feel like now I've worked all these random jobs, and I do feel like I'm collecting little friendships here and there as I go, which is nice. Yeah. And I haven't been to any like live poetry readings here at all. Yeah. So I'm really interested to see if I could sort of get like some kind of poetry community in the city going. It'd be nice.
I mean, there has to be one. And it's...
Well, there's tons. I just haven't gone yet. And I don't know how like mix and mingle it is. Or if it's people come, they read, they leave, you know?
Yeah. Very stand-up comedy.
Like, I really want to what?
Like, stand-up comedy, I feel like...
Yes.
Stand-up comedy, I feel like there is not the same courtesy as there would be for poetry, where poetry... It feels least
communal.
My rules, if I were to have a poetry night, is you have to stay at least for three poets before and 3 poets after you were supposed to read. But I feel like stand-up comedians, yes. And if you brought on a whole bunch of hoopla people, they also have to do the same thing. Because I didn't like the night that I met you, and there were a bunch of talkie Tinas in the back, which I did not prefer, and I do not prefer. And they talked their ass off the whole time. Their friend read, and then they all left. And I was like, no, sir. No, sir.
Which was honestly probably for the best for all of us, but it was rude.
Yeah, but like, if you're going to come, shut your mouth, unless you're going to get on stage.
Oh, now I have to tell you my ziplining story.
Yes. Tell me about your ziplining tragedies.
Buckle up, folks.
Do I buckle up just around the waist, or is it a full
Oh, no, it's
harness?
A full, like, not even like a car seatbelt. This is like a buckle in and then like waist belt and then like an over the head roller coaster sort of situation.
Truthfully, I'd prefer that.
Well, good, because you'll need it. My senior year of high school, it was the year of the choir trip.
The choir trip.
So like so they rotated the music groups who would go on an international trip every year. And so it was like, there would be a year off, and then it would be choir, band, orchestra. So sometime in your 4 years of high school, if you were in any of those 3, you would get to go on this international trip.
Okay.
So mine fell on my senior year. It was originally scheduled for over winter break. Bad idea. Flights got canceled. Oh. So we had to then like speedy replan the trip over spring break.
Were you guys like already at the airport when the flights got canceled?
This was like day before.
Okay.
So fine. We're like, great. We get to replan. It's going to be great. Whatever. It's going to be warmer.
No. No, rainy season.
We get there. And it's like day 2 or 3, and I like walked down to the little like breakfast pavilion, and it was like stunning. We were on this Costa Rican resort. It was beautiful. And this freshman throws the double doors open, and I just see like panic in his eyes. And I was like, Alex? Projectile vomits in the bush. And I was like, oh God. I was like, are you okay? A friend follows him out and like helps him like hobble away, like back towards the rooms. And I'm like, how strange. And then we had a gig later that day, and like, it's very hot. It's very hot. There's no water. And we're not sure, like technically the water, they say the tap water is fine to drink, potable, but we were like a little iffy on it. So some of the chaperones went out and got us like cases of water. And or like a couple people had to leave mid-performance because they were like about to pass out. So they go outside for some fresh air. And then we like leave, and then this guy on our bus is like, I think he had thrown up during the performance, and we're like, heat stroke, am I right? Or whatever, like not thinking much of it. And then he's on the bus and he's just like, I don't feel good. Just like, doesn't seem like he's doing well.
I'm going to guess right now. My first guess is dysentery. And my second...
Dysentery? Do you know what that is?
It happens all the time on the Oregon Trail. Or food poisoning.
Honestly, not far off.
Both.
70% of the choir ended up with E. coli.
From what?
We have no idea.
I never tracked it down.
No.
I don't know if they're like, oh, we all, like, these 70 people ate this salad at this restaurant or something. Or like...
No, because it was like we all ate together for every meal. Because they were like experience meals.
Wow.
Yeah. One kid hospitalized. Which brings me to the ziplining.
I totally forgot that's where the story was going.
Yeah. Can you see where this is going, though?
I'm seeing like a full, oh, what the fuck is that movie where she turns her head around, she throws up?
Pitch Perfect?
No. No, it's a horror movie.
Oh, Exorcist.
Exorcist.
I mean, you're not far off.
I'm thinking The Exorcist, but on a rope.
We didn't know what it was. So we're like when we were still there. So we were like 3 days in to more and more and more people getting sick.
Yeah.
And our choir teacher, we've now canceled like a couple things. And our choir teacher decides, I guess they couldn't get refunds or something on the ziplining. So he was like, ziplining is mandatory. Everyone has to come.
Mandatory.
Just
because you can't get a refund doesn't mean you still have to do it.
Correct. So I was like, mandatory? These people are shitting their pants. Like, I literally, I am kidding you not. I will withhold her name. But I was sitting on a bus with a girl who was very sick, as a lot of people were, and we're riding this bus to the next, like, hotel we were supposed to stay in. And someone was in the bathroom and she couldn't get in there. And I looked her in her eyeballs as her soul left her body.
It wasn't her soul.
It was her soul, because I watched her as she pooped her pants on a 5-hour bus ride.
Okay, wait. Before we go any further, why was it that the first round of us recording this podcast, which was all about bugs, we decided to cut out and delete? And so this is the part of the podcast we're going to keep in. It's about how your high school friends fully shat and threw up themselves.
We can cut this part if you want. So anyway, ziplining was mandatory. And so this kid who eventually was hospitalized was like, I've thrown up 3 times this morning, but Mr. I will withhold his name here, said it was mandatory. So here I am. And we're like, every time he landed, we're like, buddy, how you doing? He's like, I'm okay. And then he would like get hooked up, vomit over the canopy of the rainforest. Jesus. Land. And like crack jokes, he'd be like, man, this is having the time of my life here. Never gonna forget this. And then they'd hook him up again. He'd go down the next stretch and he'd be like, just like puking on some monkeys.
Wait, was it one of the ones, like what we had was, they told us, they said you have 2 outs to getting out of this. There's 12 zip lines and you have 2 outs. Like two like potential times where you could not do it. Mm-hmm. One is right now as we're giving the instructions, and the other one is right before you get on the first one. Other than that, you have to do all 12 in order to get off the mountain. Was it
I
like
don't even
that?
think we had, I don't think we had a second out. It was just like, if you don't, you have to say it now if you're like out skis. And he was like, giddy up, cowboy. Like,
Oh my God.
let's go puke on some toucans.
Puke-cans.
Jacob, I hope you're doing well.
I'm going to illustrate a vomit-covered toucan for the week episode.
No. This episode cannot be called Puke-cans.
Puke-cans. Oh my God. Well, I'm calling it puke-cans. I don't care about you.
I've been telling some stories from my life lately. Do you ever just have a moment where you're like, this one's too ridiculous? Did this really happen to me? This is a true story. I
don't know that I have those.
I have so many. Like, an illogical amount of stupid stories.
I have a lot of stupid stories, but they all seem like things that would entirely happen to me.
Well, but same here, though. Like, doesn't that sound fitting?
Yeah.
That if I were to go on a trip to Costa Rica, that's what would happen? That if I were to go on a trip to California, I would be burgled blind?
Yeah. I have a lot of things where I'll tell my friends a story and they'll be like, that is something that could only uniquely happen to you.
Right. Okay, so now that I've told the absolute most unhinged story I probably have, although I don't know if that's true. I have a lot of unhinged
It was
stories.
about zip lines, but it couldn't have taken more turns.
I honestly, who knew E. coli was going to come out of left field like that?
And all I was just trying to talk about was my relaxing, luxurious Panamanian vacation. And you were like, that reminds me of this time that everybody shat themselves.
Well, it's the only time I've been ziplining. I don't know what you want from me.
It was a segue.
It was.
It was similar to a zip line, which is a line that connects 2 points.
This
You
is
said,
true. It's
hey,
all
zip line.
together.
It doesn't matter where you land or where you started as long as the zip line's involved.
Yeah. That's yeah, that was Confucius, right?
He actually did say that. He did.
He said that, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Jeff
well, now
Confucius.
that you've gotten 1 billion unhinged tidbits about my life, would you like some more?
I mean, always.
Great, because I have a beautifully unhinged poem.
I always want
wrote.
you to be the pathetic part of the podcast.
You got it, man. That's what I'm here for. If instead of writing today, if you want to read stuff that we have, because I feel like you've got some gold unhinged stuff, and I am thinking about this one just ties right in. There's not a hinge in sight.
I don't know what you mean that I write unhinged things.
I'm not saying as a rule. I just know that
All of my poems are relatively normal
honey,
and emotionally
baby,
sane.
sweetie, darling, we've known each other long enough that we don't have to pretend we're sane anymore.
Okay. No, wait, did you said something like 2 or 3 podcasts ago where I wrote like 2 poems and one was like it was when I wrote the one about being if I was a bagel, and then the other one was about breathing, and you're like you have 2 distinct personalities, and one is like very visual and very obvious, and the other one is all jokes.
Yeah.
And where the 2 of those meet is where my unhinged mind
Where the twain shall meet.
rips itself apart. Okay.
Speaking of bagels, I'm sorry, so off topic. Have you
it.
seen Everything Everywhere All at Once?
Yes, I have, and I
Sucked
wanted to win every
into
award.
A bagel.
I've only seen it once, and I want to see it again. But it was one of those movies that I fucking fell in love with.
I must own it because it's the
instantaneously.
greatest thing
Yes.
I've ever seen.
It was so incredible, the whole thing, And like from
all of it,
from jump one or whatever the phrase is, from
so good,
from minute one, from second one, from whatever one.
Anyway,
and they need to win.
You said
win,
bagel,
win.
and my mind went bagel. Stephanie Sue.
Similar to ziplines, that was a connection.
Do you want to read first?
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
I gotta find my unhinged poems though.
I was waiting for you to turn one page and be like, there it is.
There it is. I feel like there are...
I gotta find an unhinged poem first.
I have...
Found it.
I'm sure I have several. Okay. Here's one. I think I wrote this the first circle that we had of this year, the first poetry circle we had. And the prompt, just to give all of you a little bit of context, was we had to write a poem about our own national anthem. So if we were a nation that had a national anthem, what would it be? And I didn't actually get to read this at the circle because I thought it was kind of stupid and everybody else was reading. Because it was like the first one back and there were like 50 people there and they were all new people. And I was like, I don't deserve to read. Actually, I think I read my warm-up that day anyway, so I shouldn't have read twice. Anyway, I'm going to read it now because this is my podcast, not yours.
Okay.
Not yours as in not Natalie's. I meant like not the audience's.
But it is mine.
It's yours.
You can't take it away from me.
Anyway, this is my national anthem.
Woo.
700 of the most mediocre middle school band trumpet players are voted by their peers once a year to play the national anthem in a 700-part harmony. They each have been chosen because everyone, yes, everyone, knows they've been faking it for years. They are chosen because I pretended to play trumpet for 7 years. Once a year, on the anniversary of the day we first celebrated our first anniversary, 700 of the most mediocre middle school band trumpet players will gather in a circle with the entire government in the middle. The best way to root out who's been faking it is from the middle. You see, in every 700 of the most mediocre middle school band trumpet players, there is one subverter who pretends to pretend just to be cool. This 1 in 700 savant, when found out, will be groomed to be our next chancellor. You see, I knew how to play trumpet, but I chose not to, as will every leader from now on until the end of time.
Woo! I love the idea of just this horde, this like a small army of small children with trumpets surrounding the Capitol.
Just every government official is standing in a reverse circle facing outward,
trying to find who is actually playing the trumpet correctly. That's a great national anthem for you.
Yeah, there were other people who read ones that were more official and better, more poetic and better written. But I wrote that. And
I love it. No, hey, be nice to my friend Cory.
Okay.
Hey.
You being nice over there? You being nice over there? Hey. You being nice over there?
No, I thought that was lovely and like whimsical and
it was filled with whimsy. It was more of a very short story.
I feel like you often try to like qualify your poetry as anything other than poetry, and there's literally no rules for what constitutes a poem. Did you see what Neil pulled up in Circle yesterday? Someone wrote a sonnet, and it was literally sonnet 14. That was the sonnet.
I think it's just that when I started getting into poetry, I was listening to like slam poetry, and slam poetry has such this it's very smart. It's very smart and it's very melodic and it's just solid. Like
some of it, sure.
Some of it, and the bad ones aren't that.
No, that doesn't make them bad though.
I think that's what in my mind is like poetry. Like there's like the lines where you have and you're like, that's a banger. That's like a banging banger line.
But here's the thing, like back in the day, I don't know what day, but a day.
Okay.
Like Robert Frost and Emily Dickinson were considered poets, and something like slam poetry would not be considered poetry. And before that, if it wasn't in iambic pentameter, then it wasn't poetry. And so, like, this is now, and there are no rules, and your poetry is poetry, and it's wonderful. So shut your face and eat your poems.
Okay.
And like it.
But then you're going to be really disappointed because I have another very unhinged poem that's all in iambic pentameter.
That's great too.
Yeah. Are you reading yours now?
Oh, we could do like a little sandwich situation?
Yeah, or I could read my other one,
situation.
and then you could read yours.
Totally up to you. Are you on a roll now?
I can be.
It's up to you.
I'm on a roll. I'll keep rolling.
He's on a roll, folks.
I'll do your inspiring speech to eat my poems made me want to eat my poems.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Eat your poems. What is that from?
That's from Easy A.
Yes, oh my god, it's the woodchuck noise.
Let's hear it for the woodchuck. I'm so glad you recognized that sound.
You better knock on wood.
Okay.
Ooh.
So I had so this is actually from Circle yesterday. So you've heard this poem, but it's okay.
Oh, we love a repeat.
Repeat from 24 hours ago.
Hey.
Bing. Oh, yeah. Yay. The button. So when we were writing yesterday, it was like we were doing stuff in structure. Like they were like structured poems, iambic pentameter, sonnets, and form poems and stuff like that. And I couldn't do that. So I did write.
Yeah, man, I struggled. Whew.
I just couldn't do it. I tried making them rhyme and I couldn't. And I came up with 2 lines at the very beginning that I thought were very profound. And then it just devolved. It devolved into like almost someone slowly losing their mind. And right. I kept going back to, there's one scene in like Ocean's 12, where Brad Pitt and George Clooney are like sitting in a bar with Matt Damon, and I think it's the guy, it's Robbie Coltrane, the guy who plays Hagrid in Harry Potter, is like sitting at the bar with them, and they're all pranking Matt Damon by like saying these very complex like spy lines back and forth to each other, and then they keep passing it to Matt Damon and he has no idea what the hell's going on, and so then they just keep doing it again and like waiting for him to catch up, but it's all a ruse just to like fuck with him because he's like new or something. And so as I was reading this, I was like, this entire poem is just 2 spies trying to guess the code phrase, but neither of them know it, but they can't let the other one know it. So like every 2 lines is just back and forth of just spies saying gibberish that doesn't make any sense.
Oh my god, I love it.
So here I go. This is called Spycraft. If we cut out all the spare and lonely days, then March would come in September, I guess. And if weekends were 1 unit of time, then Wednesdays would become optional. If we shaved away the empty thought hours, my eyes would beat the sunrise and the set. Time would be measured in used and wasted, or left lie to wrinkle with the father. The lame time keeps essence longer, but the soil allows the plants to soak slowly, so sudden droughts are far less damaging. And winter freeze, I guess, keeps seeds warm. Time's weird. Yeah, totally. Time's weird. I mean, oh my, says the lion to the bear tigers, for roars are far less common greetings. These days, mares only scoff, never neigh. Tigers and zebras swap stripes to see. Apples bruised as monkeys lose their shit. Fruits. So fruits caused the animals to... Coconuts are such a useless fruit. And kiwis. What's with all the fur? I'm sorry. What are we talking about? Oh, you just started, and then I started, and then we just blah, 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 blah. So we're good? We're good. Cool. Cool.
So good. Kiwis, what's with all the fur? I love that. Oh, it's so fun.
This is all nonsense. The whole thing is nonsense.
Because it's supposed to be the whole, like, does the cock crow at midnight? And it's like, only if the kangaroo kisses the sun.
Exactly. Doesn't make any sense.
But they, like, keep screwing it up. It's so good.
Well, like, I wrote those first two lines of, if we cut out all the spare and lonely days, then March would come in September, I guess. And in my mind, I was like, wow, that's really profound. That's really pathetic. Or that's really poetic. And then I thought about it and I was like, that didn't make any sense at all. It doesn't make a single lick of sense.
Perfect. As long as there's not a hinge in sight, it's ready for this podcast.
Unhinged.
I love it.
Yeah. So those...
Honestly, that would make a really good scene. Like with two people doing it.
Yes. Yeah. You read your poem.
This is insanity. Okay. Today, someone asked me the strangest question. How have I been? Me? How am I doing? My brain chugged in place for a second, stalled, sputtered, glitched like my early morning A train stock still in that long stretch from 125th to 59th. Gotta love an express. Oh, how have I been? I'm thinking about how to respond, but I'm distracted by the fact that I can feel my makeup clotting on my face. I can hear my own diminished beat screaming, "You monster! We weren't meant for 14-hour days! And these conditions? I mean, mask, sweat, scarf shoved in face to mute your singing, mask again. No one can work like this." I stopped personifying my makeup long enough to realize I've waited far too long to answer a very normal and exceedingly reasonable question. And I, a very normal and exceedingly reasonable human being, should just open my fat trap and say, how have I been since the global panini? I'm great! But my back twinges and I'm thinking, they asked how I've been. How on earth do I explain to this person that at a New Year's Eve catering shift, I managed to resurrect my old Disney World chipmunk injury from the time they gave us 20-pound dinosaur overlays and made us dance with small children for hours in Florida in the middle of August. And while my time operating a man-eating plant puppet might have exacerbated things, it has never been this bad. And now the silence has been deafening and endless, and I have only two options. One, I leave this building, flee to Mexico with no hopes of returning considering my passport was stolen in January, or I fake a phone call in which my mother tells me the doctors have finally found a cure for my unhealthy addiction to long, awkward pauses. I hug this vague acquaintance, weeping with joy as I plan my next interaction with them in which the doctors were wrong, and I am cursed to let each conversation I enter into kind of awkwardly trail. While I'm doing a full Tevye, on the other hand, inner monologue trying to decide which way to go with it, I come to find that I still haven't answered the fucking, how am I? Oh, me, who even am I? What's my name? How am I? Do bears live in the woods? Ha! Is the Pope gay? I mean, Catholic? Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Oh my God. That was incredible.
I thought you were going to say insane.
That was insanable. That was incredible.
Honestly, I'm really, really proud of the last couple lines.
You should be proud of the entire thing. That entire thing is fucking incredible. There's banger after banger after banger and was like incredibly read, incredibly written. The whole thing it is like a manic stream of consciousness that is so... God, I wish I had read something better.
No, talking about?
No, that was
No.
that was like taking someone to your house and like showing them your sort of ranch home that's also sort of a split level with like a bunch of old, like your grandmother's furniture with a chair that she died in, and being like, now let's see your house. And secretly, like, you live in an elaborate mansion that was built to spec for you, and everything is, I don't know what I'm saying anymore. There was, whoo boy.
I loved your ranch house. You should be proud of your ranch house.
So you admit it's a ranch house?
No!
Oh my God. Wait, when did you write that?
I wrote this, this was the one where I told you I did kind of a fuck your prompt, because it was supposed to be about, like, if you woke up in someone's body.
Oh.
How would you
what was that, like, was that last
it?
Wednesday?
It was last Wednesday. So cut that out. It was last Wednesday.
You wrote
I wrote this
all
last
of
Wednesday.
that in 30 minutes?
I did.
That's insanity.
Sometimes I continue writing while other people are writing.
But that was like just so...
Sorry.
I need to stop writing short poems.
No, I don't think you do. I think there is value to all of it.
Yes.
There is great value to all of it.
Thank you for including everybody in this game of Red Rover. However...
no, listen, because I don't write a lot of short poems.
Yeah.
And, like, I feel like I need to work on that, because I need to work on saying something that matters with brevity.
I used to be a long poem person.
Yeah.
And then I just thought, like you would go to, like, open mics and they'd be like, cool, you get 5 minutes. You're like, my poem takes 10. Like, what?
Yeah.
What do I do?
Yeah. Yeah, because I was going to say your ex's one is...
Yeah, X's one is like a full 7 minutes.
Very long. Yeah.
My body poem is also 7 minutes.
Right, yes.
The closed letter that I read.
Yes.
That's also a long one.
Yes. Those were, like, I feel like the big three that when we first met, you read.
Yeah. Well, those were also the only 3 that I had at the time. Yeah.
But yeah, I think the thing is, like, I think of it as, like, ideas come to you. Like, we've talked about the whole thing of, like, ideas being separate entities and coming to visit you. So I feel like if you wrote that as a short poem and want to mull it over and, like, it comes to you in a longer form poem, that's great too. And it doesn't make the short one any less valid. It's just like, we're just trying to fully manifest these little bits of inspiration and art in any way. So, like, even if it's 2 lines, that doesn't make it any less valid. I mean, Rupi Kaur, she wrote, I think I'm pronouncing it correctly, Homebody and Milk and Honey, and all her poems are, like, I think the longest one in Milk and Honey is, like, 2, like, thin stanzas on 2 pages, or, like, a couple pages long. All of her stuff are, like, little bits of, like, wisdom and poetry that she just writes down on a page.
Yeah.
For the most part. So, like, I don't think there's any wrong way to be doing this.
I think similar to what I was saying before, is that I put so much value in those poems where you can go on a run, and you can go, like, you go on a run where, like you're not even reading the words, you just know the words. Mm-hmm. And the ones that I've written about that lately, I can't or don't want to read publicly, because of, like, what they're written about.
Yeah. But I think, I mean, like, yeah, it's good that you know that. Like,
yes.
You'll know when you're ready to read those publicly, if you ever are, and it's okay if you never are.
Yeah. Like, I could probably read those at a reading.
Sure. I think that's, like, it's just good to know where you are in your healing of whatever you're writing about. Yeah. So, like, maybe in a year from now, you're going to be in a different place of healing than you are now, where you can, like, rant about it in a new way.
Yeah.
And it doesn't affect you to perform that.
Well, I think it's less about the topic and more about the rant. Like your poem was like, it was like emotionally, like an emotional exodus.
Yeah.
But
I also like, I do this every day. Like I went to school to learn to act, and so I feel like I'm cheating, because it's like I just know I have so many things from like what I do for work that I can apply to this.
Yeah, that's fine.
Really easily. So it's just like, I mean, it's a muscle, and we both just started very recently with writing circle.
Yeah.
Which I think of like a class, and like just an excuse to every week like exercise that muscle, but we're just starting to do it.
Yeah.
And
it feels like a lot longer than it's been.
Yeah. It's not that long.
I think 6 months. My stuff goes back to July, because we met in February.
I didn't realize how long I've been in New York.
Since August.
June.
I don't know.
I got here in June.
Oh.
And I knew like shortly after I moved, you joined Circle.
And then sometime after that, we started the podcast.
Yeah. Wowie.
I know.
But yeah, no, like I don't think there's any wrong way to be doing this. I think you're creating fantastic work. And as long as you're like doing what we're doing, which is like flexing the muscle and gaining strength and gaining wisdom and gaining new tools of expression, like it's all good.
Yeah.
And like no need to compare any one thing to any other thing. Like just because some of your poems might not come out, like the slam poems that you kind of are used to listening to, doesn't mean they're not like gold.
Yes. It's...
Because... Sorry. I'm rambling, but like you said that longer poems, you feel like you've gone on a run. Yeah. So it's like, I feel like you get runner's high vibes from those long journey-like poems. But when I get like a short, sweet little poem, it's like a sugar cube. It's like a little like dessert. It's like a...
I've experienced those as well. I know that I have like shorter poems that like you get to your point very quickly and you're like, and there's nothing else to say there. Like you've gotten it. I think it's the same type of thing that I get into when I'm on social media and you see everybody showing their best shit. And then you wonder, you're like, well, this isn't my best shit. You know? And so that's kind of what Circle is like sometimes, is that you hear so many people like where their practice is perfect, where they've perfected their practice. And, you know, and you know, then also like, I don't know what I'm saying. And suddenly I got the taste of
I remember you saying this.
Reese's Puffs in my mouth.
Reese's Puffs.
Reese's Puffs.
Peanut butter chocolate flavor. Now I want Reese's Puffs.
I don't know why. Like I got that taste in like the back of my cheeks. And I was like, where's that coming from?
You know what I miss? Honeycomb.
Honey Crisp?
Honeycomb. The cereal.
Why am I thinking of Honey Crisp?
That's apples.
Apple Crisp. Apple Jacks. Honey Crisp apples.
I'm glad we're keeping with the theme of Unhinged. What just happened to you?
I don't know.
Sour Apple Jolly Rancher.
What did you say?
I don't know. I had a stroke.
I
was trying to say Sour Apple Jolly Rancher, but I fully had an aneurysm. Cut it out, please.
No.
Snip.
No, because this episode is going to be called The Unhinged Puke-can.
No, leave the Puke-can out of it.
I don't know.
Anyway, I thought that I get what you mean about like those longer poems feeling like you went on a nice run, but I also think there's something like sweet and like in just like a morsel bite of a solid short poem.
Yeah.
That just does everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the best bite of your sandwich at lunchtime.
Yeah, you get it all in there. It's not like the end of the bread where
Yeah.
it's just like
No.
a chunk of tomato and a little bit of crust. Like you
Yes.
get it all in there, all
You
in
get
one
it all.
bite.
All the meats, all the cheeses.
Like that's how I feel
Little
about my
bit of
time
lettuce.
travel poem.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh.
Ooh, that's a good one. Oh, remember when I cried? Well, I feel worried about my mental stability, so that feels like a good place to end.
What do you feel worried about your mental stability?
I was just trying to make like an unhinged joke. Did it not fly?
Oh, okay. You want to do that again?
You make one. You do it.
Well, I'm pretty sure that this unearthed some things that I would rather have left deep and buried in the ground.
Oh no, that's worse. Well, all of my doors are falling off now because there's not a
Unhinged.
hinge to be had.
Hingeless.
So always remember.
And never, never, don't ever, ever,
Not
ever
once.
forget.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.